how great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God to thee. How great thou art, great thou art. God shall come with shouts of acclamation and take me home. What joy shall fill my heart? Then shall I come in humble adoration and proclaim how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God to thee. How great thou art, how great thou Tapu kumaya namiki konai Waiua tapu araya Hoero maya no Waiua tapu kumaya namaki konai Waiua tapu araya Korero maya no Waiua tapu kuamai no kaiko nai Waiua tapu araya Korero maya no Holy Spirit, welcome. You are welcome here. Guide us, Holy Spirit. Speak to us again. Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Holy
Exodus 3 and 4, just a few verses from there. Exodus 3 and 4. One day Moses was tending the flock at his father-in-law, Jethro, the priest of Midian. And he went deep into the wilderness near Sinai, the mountain of God. Suddenly, the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a blazing fire in a bush. Moses was amazed because the bush was engulfed in flames, but it did not burn up. Amazing, God said to himself, why isn't this bush burning up? I must go over to see this. When the Lord saw that he caught Moses' attention, God called him from the bush, Moses, Moses. Here I am, Moses replied. Do not come any closer, God told him. Take off your sandals, for you are standing on holy ground. Then he said, I am the God of your ancestors, the God of Abram, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. When Moses heard this, he hid his face in his hands, because he was afraid to look at God. Then the Lord said to him, you can be assured, I have seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard their cries for deliverance from their harsh slave drivers. Yes, I am aware of their suffering. Verse 10 says, now go, for I am sending you to Pharaoh. You will lead my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. But who am I to appear before Pharaoh? Moses asked God. How can you expect me to lead the Israelites out of Egypt? Then God told him, I will be with you, and this will serve as proof that I have sent you. When you've brought the Israelites out of Egypt, you will return here to worship God at this mountain. But Moses protested. If I go to the people of Israel and tell them, the God of your ancestors has sent me to you, they won't believe me. They will ask, which God are you talking about? What is his name? Then what should I tell them? God replied, I am the one who always is. Just tell them. I am has sent me to you. God also said, tell them, the Lord God of your ancestors, the God of Abram, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob has sent me to you. This will be my name forever, and has always been my name, and it will always be used through all generations. Now go and call together all the leaders of Israel. Tell them, the Lord God of your ancestors, the God of Abram, Isaac, and Jacob, appeared to me in a burning bush. He said, you can be sure that I'm watching over you and have seen what is happening to you in Egypt. Chapter 4. But Moses protested again. Look, they won't believe me. They won't do what I tell them. They'll just say, the Lord never appeared to you. Then the Lord asked him, what do you have here in your hand? A shepherd's staff, Moses replied. Throw it down on the ground, the Lord told him. So Moses threw it down and it became a snake. Moses was terrified, so he returned and ran away. Then the Lord told him, take hold of its tail. So Moses reached out and grabbed it, and it became a shepherd's staff again. Perform this again, and they will believe you, the Lord told him. Then they will realize that the Lord, the God of your ancestors, the God of Abram, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, really has appeared to you. Then the Lord said to Moses, put your hand inside your robe. Moses did so. And when he took it out again, his hand was white as snow with leprosy. Now put your hand back into your robe again, the Lord said. Moses did, and when he took it out this time, it was healthy as the rest of his body. If they do not believe the first miraculous sign, they will believe the second, the Lord said. And if they do not believe you, even after all these signs, then take some water from the Nile River and pour it out on dry ground. When you do, it will turn into blood. But Moses pleaded with the Lord, "Oh Lord, I'm just not a good speaker. I've never been, and I'm not now, even after you've spoken to me. I'm clumsy with words." "Who makes mouths?" the Lord asked him. Who makes people so they can speak or not speak, hear or not hear, see or not see? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go, and do as I've told you, and I will speak, and I will help you speak, and I will tell you what to say. But Moses again pleaded, Lord, please send someone else. Then the Lord became angry with Moses. I just want to end there. Thank you. This reminds me so much of me. When I got saved September, 5th of September 98, 20 years ago in a few days. And it took the Lord a long time to get me to even stand here. I had a lot of stuff He needed to clean up. I come from a really very rough background. And in September 98, I challenged the Lord one night after my grand passed away, and they phoned me and they said to me, she's passed. And I challenged the Lord with this, and I said, I don't even know if you're real. If you're real, my Nana will be with you right now. But who do I know? How do I know that you're real? Who says Buddha is not real? Who says Allah is not the real God? Who says Krishna is not real? How do I know? Just because I heard people in a Christian country tell me about you doesn't make you God. I want you to prove to me. So up to that time, I've been to a psychiatrist for my temper. I've been to 15 times. I went to see a hypnotist to hypnotize me. So that night I said to the Lord, but if you are real, you change me tonight. I'm not going to a church. I'm not going nowhere. You change me tonight. And if you don't change me tonight, don't you dare send me to hell one day. Because no one can change me. Everybody's given up on me. And the next morning I got up and people were amazed to see the change overnight. And I'm not going to go into the detail, that's for another time. But the Lord did something overnight that I couldn't explain and family couldn't explain. They were actually amazed. And then I went to church. I went to a church, and up to then I really did not like Christians. I did not like them. I despised Christians. I thought they were ninnies and sissies. They need to hold on to a God. I'm big and tough and I can deal with things myself. So September 98, I went to church and I started going to this big church, 6,000 seater church. And they had a speaker from India, Pastor Paul Dinakran, come and open the church service. And I was volunteering. I'll work outside in security. So that night, it looked very similar to the chapel we had in the service. And I was outside and I said to the Lord, it was dark, and I said to the Lord, you must really like what you sing. It looks really beautiful. I mean, I just spoke to him like that. I said, you must really like what you sing. It's nice. A lot of people for you. You must probably be happy. So that night, out of the service, after the service, a friend of mine came and he said to me, there was a prophecy and God's going to use you. And I've never heard of these things as prophecies. And I said, what is a prophecy? And he said, God spoke. And I said, if he spoke, why did I not hear him? And he said to me, you need to get the tape. God's going to use you. So, up to that day in my life, I never shed a tear. I remember coming from an Afrikaner house. My dad didn't play when he gave us heilings. It was a heiling. And I never shed a tear. And that night, I'm driving home and I'm crying. And I said to the Lord, that's why I read that. I said, Lord, I can't even speak. My favorite saying was, if I speak, I'll do that with my fist. That's what I used to say. Knuckle dust in the pocket, gun on the side. That's how I went around. Always in fights. I was nicknamed, and Lisa will remember, House of the Streets. So that night, I'm driving home and I said, Lord, how can you even use me? I can't speak. So I got the tape and I actually bought two. And I went to the op shop the other day and I bought a little cassette player and I put it in and I listened to it. And this is Pastor Paul Dinakran. Never saw me up to today, never saw him face to face. And this is what he said. He said, Maarten, who is this Maarten? He says, wherever you are, God has seen your faithfulness. You are serving others who are serving God. And tonight, Jesus has got compassion on you, Mr. Maarten. And he will use you to conform the wise and intellectuals. And you will say, how can you use me? You will say, I'm just an ordinary man. How can God use me? And he said, yes, Mr. Maarten, I will let my light shine through you to conform the wise and intellectuals. And for me, that made a lot of sense. Because if God conforms the wise and intellectual with the wise and intellectual, what's the point of that? He's going to come and use a guy that's really just an ordinary guy. Because there's something in it then for him. But if I come with all these fancy degrees and all that, there's no point for him. So that made sense to me. But I still doubted, but I prayed it a lot over the years then. And then not long after that, I went to church one night, and I'm sitting right at the back, right by the door, and there's a pastor from America, this pastor in his grey suit, an old man, standing there, and he's boring me to bits. And I want to get up and walk just before the service is finished. And I thought, he's there, these big doors in the room. Someone thought it's going to make a big noise. So I'll just sit it out, sitting right at the back. And at the end, he says, there's a man named Maarten. God has doing something for. Well, I nearly fell from a chair. I thought to myself, surely this God must be real then. I've heard about him. I've heard people pray. I've heard a lot of stuff. But if he speaks like this, there must be something out there. So I started going to Bible college. I've never studied, I just got my schooling. I never studied anything more than that. So I went to Bible college, and then I got a call one day from my church, my pastor, and he said to me, because I was told that there's this man, Benny Hinn, that prays that people get healed. And I know people have got opinions, but I tell you what, if God can use a donkey, he will use anyone to get done what he needs to do. Anyone. He'll speak through a burning bush. Nothing will stop him.
Amen.
And they said to me, Benny Hinn's coming to Durban. Can we put your name forward? We're putting a few names forward. And he chose me to work with him. And Lisa will know, I traveled with Benny Hinn for many years. Up to Russia, Belgium, wherever we traveled. And I learned a lot. And I learned that God uses man, not because of man. If he uses me because of me, there must be something good in me. He uses man despite of man to conform the wise and intellectuals.
Amen.
We immigrated here in 2004, and I've over time I've done my Bible college now at Vision College, but it was a hard time. Just before we came to New Zealand, my wife that went with me to Bible college told me, and I could imagine. So I'm not saying to this. I don't love you anymore. I'm in love. I love you, but I'm not in love with you anymore. And being an ordinary man, I said to her, "What does that mean? You're playing with words now." And she said, "I'm not in love with you anymore." But anyway, we went to Bible college and all that. Came to New Zealand, and she told my parents, "I don't love your son anymore." So we separated, and I tell you, if Nikki tells me many times, she said to me, "Baby, if you were like that when I was with you, I would not have stuck around, because I was hard to be around with, I can tell you that." So for me to stand here today, it's only him. And I said that. When he starts using people like me, you must know, he's desperate. He's desperate. He's just looking for someone to use. Not because we're so great. I met Nikki, and I was angry when I met her. I'm not going to go into all this. I was angry. My life was a mess, and she knows I was a wreck when I saw her, when I met her. And I went and started boxing again, and I was angry with the Lord. But I never let go of him, and he never let go of me. And the Lord did a miraculous thing. He brought us together to him. And we moved down to Tanika, to Paraparaumu. We worked at a rehab there. And then we moved up so I can do my Bible college up here at Vision College. And it was big. I tell you, my first assignment was so hard. I started and I closed my laptop, I pushed it aside and I said to Nikki, I can't do this. It's too hard for me. I'm too old now, I can't do this stuff. She said, let's go outside and have a coffee. You can do this. That's what I'm saying. She's been there. And then I've managed to finish it. And I did okay in my studies. And the Lord started working in me like I've never, when I became a Christian, I thought to myself, if the Lord can just take my anger away, I'm good. Then I'll be fine. But there was a lot of stuff. There was a lot of stuff. And he doesn't stop working on us. Even now, he's working and working and working. What seems trivial today, he highlights tomorrow and says, that's enough, no more. I remember going to Bible college. Now, I was a rough diamond. I went to Bible college, just bought all my Guns N' Roses CDs and stuff. Coming from Bible college at night, driving home, playing Guns N' Roses. And I'm singing with them in the car, the Guns N' Roses. And every time they all swear, I just want to swear. And I thought that was all right then, I'm not swearing. And that night the Lord said to me, so when are you going to stop this? And I said, I'll stop it now. So I went home and I got rid of all that stuff. But there's always stuff that he deals with all the time. We are never just good to go. His grace carries us. When you feel this is all so much, then his love. Always, once you are born again, you experience his love and his forgiveness just pours out. And he uses a person like me. So I drove past the other day. I shut the door and I took this book, I put it here. And I tell you, probably for the first 30 seconds, minute, I laughed, literally laughed loud. I really couldn't believe it. I said, Lord, you're amazing. Who would have thought, September 98, that this would happen? I would have said, you're nuts. You can't do this to me. Everybody's given up on me. I was the job kick of the family, the nutcase. But the Lord is so awesome that he never gives up.
Amen.
And so I finished my Bible college and I resigned from my work end of July. And I'm studying now again. Only the Lord knows how I'm going to get through this. It's hard. And time and everything, being a husband, a dad and study. It is not easy. But the Lord is so good. And when Nikki's like, she's a woman of few words. But I tell you, if it wasn't for her, I won't be here. So she actually didn't introduce herself properly. She's everything to me. She's my rock in the house. She's my cheerleader. Honestly, when I feel like I'm going, she's the one with the pom-poms. You can do this. You can go. She's the one that believes in me. So I thank the Lord that he's put in my life. And give my little Charlize. And then he's put people in my life through the time where I worked at Vision College. I worked there as well. I used to teach security there. And then he put people in my life, like Pastor Lance and Sue. They saw me there, and when I started off there, I worked in Auckland first. And then I got ill, and I can tell you, even as a Christian, you can be very scared of God. Because I remember when I was, they putting me on the wheel on the trolley to theatre. I had a perforated bowel, and I was really sick. So they're pushing me to theatre, and suddenly they said, you need to go now, it's emergency. And I sent a generic text to Nikki, to Lance, and all my friends, and it could only take 20. So I sent a text to everybody saying, because the doctor said, he said to me, I can't guarantee of the outcome of this operation. And I thought, are you telling me I can die? He said, I can't guarantee the outcome. And I remember as a young boy, playing rugby, I was early 20s, lying in hospital, high care unit, They're doing these lumbar punches, getting the pressure off my brain. My left eye's popping out, the socket. And I thought to myself, can't die, so no worries. I'm just too strong. I just could never die. I couldn't understand how my body could shut down. Here I'm lying in hospital, and I know the Lord. And I thought to myself, are you telling me I'm going to look in the great I am, going to look into his eyes? And when I look in his eyes, it's not like looking in the eyes of a normal magistrate. You're not going to bluff your way around him. He knows. And whatever he says goes. It's not like, let's negotiate about it, let's talk about this. No. When he says, you go to hell, you go to hell. If he says, go to heaven, you go to heaven. There's no in between. And I got scared. And I said, Lord, I don't understand this. I'm worried. I'm probably going to look in your eyes, you in the eyes for the next hour. Probably see you face to face. Just have mercy. I'm sorry, I make many mistakes. Even as a Christian, we can stuff up so many times. We make mistake after mistake. But I thank the Lord that he never gives up. He's not expecting us to be holy. He's holy. If we are like God, what's the point? Then we don't need a God. He is holy. And that's why he sent his only son to come and die for us. For that reason, to reach people like me and you. People that everybody gives up on. Say, you'll never make it. You'll never be a Christian. He reaches in our hearts and he speaks when no man can speak. He speaks right in there. I said a prayer and I remember the crowd as I'm going past the windows on the trolley and they've got all these markers on me and they're pushing me with quite a speed down there. And I said to the Lord, I said, just deal with me according to your mercy. That's all. I just ask for mercy. And I remember lying and when they put the tube in me and they injected me to put me under, I was nervous because I thought, that's it now, probably the end. I'm not going to open my eyes again. And I remember lying in the recovery room and the nurse was on my left arm and she said, you're okay, we've done this to you and this and this. And I was so disappointed. I said, I was going to see the Lord. And when I said to Nikki, she says, oh, that's not good that you say that. I said, but I was never that ready to go. But the Lord is so good. He's brought us here. And then Nikki and I, we came and visit Robert in Te Arawa one day. And I drove past the building where it says Celtics on the side there. And I said to Nikki, man, I want to start a church here. But just said it. And then I gave my testimony at a conference and I met up with somebody and they said, with Vaughan, and he said to me, I said, I want to start a church close to Te Arawa, but that's what I do. And he said to me, there's an empty church. He said, my Uncle Raiden, he lives there. There's an empty building. So the Lord put Raiden in our way, and man, he's been a blessing to us. And here I am today, in this place. I'm so glad to see all your faces. I hope it's a homecoming for some of you. Good memories. But I'm trusting the Lord. I didn't know how many to expect to come here. And I said to the Lord, it's not my business. I said, I'm just doing what you want me to do. If just my wife and my kids here, there you are, that's fine for me. Because Jesus is not in the numbers game. I said he had 12 disciples. And he managed to still lose one too. So if Jesus had 12, who are we to try and... Because us as humans, we're always about the number games. It makes us look great. But he's interested in individuals. Everyone here as an individual interested in us. He said, while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. And that's what I thought to myself. What was inside of me when I was walking around fighting with everyone? Fighting, literally fighting. Stopping my car in the middle of the road. Punching people. With my wife and kids in the car. Why would he pursue me? What was inside of me that he saw that he liked? What did he like? Very few people like me. Only the crazies I hang around with like me. Because we had one thing in common. We were all nuts. What did he see in me? I don't understand it even now. When I say, Lord, I'm standing here not because I'm so great. That's what I said to Lisa this morning. The Bible says, the Lord's going to say to us, well done, good and faithful servant. I said to him, Lord, I said to Lisa, I said, I'm going to say, Lord, well done, good and faithful God. He's been good. And like I said, I never cried a tear in my life, and when I became a Christian, the Lord's like, no, you're going to pay back. And I said to him, someone else, please, it's enough. Thank you for coming. I'm going to call my friend Pastor Lance to come and share with us. Thank you so much.
Good morning.
Morning.
Move some of Maarten's stuff here. You want some tissues? Wow. I was just saying to Andrew in the back there and to Maarten just now, could you give me another 10 minutes? I need to rewrite my preach. Because he just stole half of it from me. But that's okay. My name's Lance Langley, and I'm a pastor in Activate Church in Hamilton, and that is where Maarten has been fellowshipping for the last year and a half, nearly 2 years. Yeah. Nearly 2 years. Maarten and my history go back about 5 or 6 years when I employed Maarten as a security tutor at our campus, ATC campus in Auckland, and we've been through some interesting times. I'll tell you now. The text that he sent out when he was heading into the surgery, I was actually heading into surgery at the same time as well in Hamilton here. So we were texting, we were praying for each other via text. It's amazing what technology can do these days. It's quite an interesting time. I want to step out of Exodus and I want to go back to Genesis, because I think Genesis is, well, I know Genesis is the start of the journey for all of us, and it's also fitting that's the start. It's a new beginning here. And I want to talk about a person who Maarten mentioned when he was reading Exodus and talking about Moses, and he was talking about Abraham, Isaac and Jacob. And I just want to talk about Jacob a little bit, and just forgive me for being a little bit loose with the description that I'm going to have. There's no swear words in it, so you're okay there. So he was a riverboat gambler, a master of the sleight of hand and fancy footwork. He had gained a seedy reputation of getting what he wanted by hook or by crook. Twice he dealt hidden cards to his dull-witted brother Esau in order to climb the family tree. He once pulled the wool over the eyes of his own father, a trick especially dirty since his father's eyes were rather dim. And the wool he pulled ensured him a gift he would never have received otherwise. He later conned his father-in-law out of his best livestock, and when no one was looking, he took the